Hi, Lakeisha. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. How have things been since our last session?
Um, there has been some changes, not major changes, but enough to get me moving in the right direction.
Okay.
I would say that I've lowered the usage that I have done. I see the effects of it on my body and with the baby, definitely. So I've slowed down on how much I use.
Okay. So what does that look like now?
Initially, that was like 3 to 4 times a day.
Mm.
Now I try to get by with two, the
Okay.
morning and night.
Okay. Good. That's great that you've started to decrease it. How did homework go this week?
Oh, the goals that we set, or yeah, some of the interventions we set went well. I mean, I'm just trying to take better care of myself. I'm actually starting to see a doctor, or I should say
Oh,
prenatal care.
good.
I've started that, and I guess I could have been more honest with the doctor, but I wasn't, and I'm sure he'll find out my flaws when he checked my blood and urine.
Mhm.
But I didn't say anything verbally.
Well, good. At least, that steps in the right direction of starting to get help and clean. So before we start, getting into, I would like to set some goals this session to help us continue to move in that direction. But
Mhm.
something that we need to talk about before we start session is, as a counselor, I mentioned a little bit in our first video that I have the responsibility to report if children are at harm. And so, with there being a heroin use that you're doing inside the home, and you also have a 1-year-old in the home, that is a reportable cause,
Mhm.
you know. And so I know that that's, something that is probably hard to hear. My recommendation is that maybe we make that call together,
I
and
feared this. That's why I didn't want to even talk about it. But I understand that it's a part of the job. I guess I just fear having my children taken from me. I know what I'm doing is wrong, but it's like I know no other way.
yeah,
This is my biggest fear. I,
and we can continue to help you work towards, you know, getting rid of the addiction and stuff like that. And, whatever the outcome comes of this, I will be here to help walk you through it, and we will do the steps we need to help you learn the skills you need. And so I appreciate that you did share that, and I know that that had to be your biggest fear, but I didn't want to report without you knowing. you know I feel that's really important for you to know that it needs to be done.
I understand, and I thank you for walking me through it.
Yeah, I think the best thing though is if we do it together. Maybe if you call and report and I can be there with you while we walk through it. It can look better coming from you and me just walking you through reporting. So maybe we could do it together if you're open to that.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that feel okay?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And thanks for being open about it. And, you know, that's the biggest thing is that we keep our relationship open. And so we'll just work through whatever comes of this. And I know that you can work hard. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So if you're open to it, what are your goals for coming in?
Ultimately, I want to get clean. I want to be a good parent. I want to be able to provide for my children, be there for them, support them. And I know I can't do that unless I'm clean.
Okay. So it sounds like one goal would be that you want to be clean. Okay. So if we were going to set one other goal, what do you think that that would be?
Parenting, maybe I could attend some parenting classes, or maybe you can show me what direction to go as far as, how to be a better parent.
Okay. I think that sounds good. You've talked about both of those things in previous session, and I think that those would be good goals. And you've talked in previous session about being alone, and I think that by both of these goals, we could also help that aspect of you feeling alone.
Okay.
Okay, so what part, what does it look like for you to be clean?
Drug free, not having any drugs in my system, being able to cope with life difficulties and the pain that I have from the accident. Being able to, be clean and have alternative solutions that are healthy for me.
Alternative solutions. What do those alternative solutions look like for you?
I guess it would be like more like how to better take care of myself, eating right, exercising. It's not only beneficial to me, but the baby,
Mm-hmm.
those things. How to take time out for myself.
Okay, yeah. I think those are good, what it looks like for you. If we were to set a goal of being clean, when would you like that to be done by? Like what is obtainable in that sense?
Before the birth of the baby.
Okay.
So if I'm like 3 months pregnant now, in the next 6 months.
Okay, so we're at the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of November.
Mm-hmm.
So if we said by November 30th to be clean.
Okay, I like that.
Does that feel
Yeah,
acceptable to you?
it does.
Okay. So what steps help us get to there?
How do we get there?
Yeah.
Maybe I can get rid of the paraphernalia, the devices, the drugs itself, disconnect myself from my user or my dealer. That's a good start.
Okay. So what are we going to implement instead of that?
Better coping skills. Maybe I can go for a walk or interact more with my family and my parents.
Okay.
So that I can, have alternative things to do instead of using.
Okay. So we want to set realistic goals, things that are actually achievable. So we don't want to say by tomorrow you're not going to contact your drug provider anymore because we know that's not obtainable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we're setting ourselves up to fail the goal. So if we were to look at how long do you think before you could not be contacting your provider?
Maybe I can cut back on the amount of times that I contact them.
Okay.
If I'm doing it twice a day, maybe I can avoid from having a call. Maybe it's just once a day that I can have access to, totally, trying to wean myself off.
Yeah. Let's set some detailed goals of that. So right now you're contacting him 2 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So would it be realistic if we said within the next month, you're going to be down to only contacting him once a day? Or do you think we need to give yourself 2 months?
Let's do 2 months.
2 months?
2 months, once a day.
Okay, so from now until, let's see, July 30th, we'll keep 2 months or 2 times a day is what our contact will be.
Mm-hmm.
And then from July 30th, how long, then what's our next step? So by July 30th, we're only going to contact once a day. What's the next step down?
Maybe I can cut back on the amount of times I use in a week.
Okay.
So if I go from once a day, maybe I can go 3 times a day, 3 times a week, I should say. Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday.
Okay. So for how long do we want that goal to be implemented?
2 months.
2 more months? Okay. So now we are into, let's see, September of only using 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we have from September 30th to November 30th. So we have 2 more months.
Mm-hmm.
What is that going to look like?
And I'm getting closer to having a baby by then.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe instead of 3 times a week, I can go down to twice or maybe once a month or once a week.
Okay, so what if we, to make sure that it's doable, what if we said for 2 weeks, you get 2 times a week? Does that
Mm-hmm.
sound? And then we could move to 1 time a week.
Okay, that's better.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we could even do for 2 weeks or for 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
For which?
One month.
Okay, so for 1 month, we will say that we will do 1 time a week.
Okay.
And then, no, 2 times a week. That's what it was. 2 times a week. And then we have that final month.
Yep. Once a day. Once a week. I'm sorry.
Yes. So once a week. So should we say for 3 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
And then that way
Yes.
you hit your goal.
Mm-hmm.
That sound good?
That sounds good to me.
All right. So we'll write that up by the end of the session so that you kind of have like a game plan of being able to physically see what our decrease is going to be.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's a good start. All right. So what else can we do? You said contact with family?
I want to be a better parent. Or is that the same goal?
Let's go back to, we're going to set some more objectives for goal 1. So
Okay.
what else can we set in order to help us get off the drugs? So we've got that we're going to decrease our use.
Mm-hmm.
You said something about like increasing the amount of time you're talking to your family or like doing walks or stuff like that.
Let's do the parents. My parents don't live far from here. And if I could go visit them once a week and talk with them every day.
Okay. I like that. So when do you think you could have that implemented, that you're going to start visiting them once a week?
This week. Well, let's start with next week.
Good idea. I like that we're giving ourselves some time so that we're not failing. And what about the phone calls?
One day in the evenings, after everybody has gotten off work, the kids are home and in bed, maybe like 7, 8 o'clock in the evenings, just to say hello and check in.
Okay. When do you think you could be doing that by?
Next week as well.
Okay, I like that. I have a question. When is your most normal time that you're wanting to do drug use?
At night, because I want to be comfortable when I sleep.
Okay. So maybe it'd be good to set some goals about how else we can help you achieve sleep.
Okay.
So do you have a routine that you do before bed?
I normally keep it simple and take a shower. For me, a bath with lavender soap would help me sleep better.
Yeah.
Warm tea or something.
Yeah. There's a study that shows that if we have a set routine at night that includes taking a shower, journaling, listening to some music that doesn't have like instrumental, or that's only instrumental, no words, those things can help with sleep. Does any of that sound like something that might help?
It does. Definitely the bath part, being able to take a bath and maybe using some lavender soap to help as relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
I like the music part because I can fall asleep to that.
Yeah. Let's set a plan of what that's going to look like at night then. So how long before you go to bed do you want to take a shower or a bath?
An hour. 1 hour.
An hour. Okay, so what is your typical time to go to bed?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Okay, so we're going to say by 8 o'clock we are in the shower.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then where do we want to put that music? How soon before bed do we want to start listening to it to kind of unwind and just kind of...
Maybe I can have the music on while I'm taking a bath.
I like that, yeah. And then just continue it over
throughout the night.
Throughout the night, yeah. All right, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think you could start implementing that?
Next week as well.
Okay, how many nights a week do we want to shoot for you doing the routine?
3 nights a week.
3 nights a week. Does that seem like it's obtainable?
Yes.
Okay. So we will shoot that by next week, so the 7th,
Mm-hmm.
between, you will try to do it 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that doing both of those at the same time is obtainable, or do we need to start with just one, just a bath first, or just music? Or do you feel that they both are obtainable at the same time?
I think they're both obtainable at the same time. Doesn't take much effort.
Okay. And we can always come back and review these goals if we need to change things. If you start them and you don't feel like it's obtainable, then we can always come back and revisit them.
Okay.
Okay. So I think that that's good. So we've now set that we're going to decrease the amount of time we're using. We have set a goal to help the times that we seem to use the most.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also set a goal to make contact outside of it. I have a question about, where do you feel about maybe like some like substance abuse anonymous groups?
I could do that. I don't know where to start looking, but that support would be great.
Yeah. I mean, I can help you. I'm willing to help you look for a group if that's something that you want to do. If it's not something you want to do, we can look at outside things, but I just didn't know what your view was on a 12-step program.
Mm-hmm. I'm open to it.
Yeah. Is that something we want to move towards?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can do once a week. I don't know how often they meet.
Usually there's usually multiple groups that will meet like different nights. So we could probably try and find one that will work well for your need.
Mm-hmm.
And you can choose it. The nice thing about that is it's going to give you a sponsor. So that's going to give you somebody outside of me that you can reach out to when you do have the urges to use, as we start to decrease the amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I like that.
Does that feel pretty good? Or
Oh yeah, definitely. It feels good.
right. So when do we want to say we're going to implement that?
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. Okay, I like that we didn't set it in 1 week, because I was starting to feel like you're going to get a little overwhelmed next week if we do too many things.
Mm-hmm.
So by the middle of June?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm glad that sounds like something you want to do. All right, so let's move. I feel like we've done some good goal setting. What about some rewards for when you do meet these things? Because rewards are important when it comes to goals. They keep us going.
What could I do nice for myself?
Yeah.
Boy, that's hard because I almost never do anything for myself.
Yeah.
I like takeouts. Maybe I could eat lunch out, during the day or evening, and just go by myself.
Okay, I like that. So would it be feasible to say that as we decrease the amount of drug use, that you will be able to go out to eat when you go from 3 times, or from right now you're doing 2 times a day. So as we transition from 2 times to 3 times a week, then you'll go out to eat to reward yourself for that decrease.
Yes.
And then just keep going. Does that sound good?
At least once a week, I'll get a chance to do something with myself by myself.
Yeah. I think that sounds great. I think that sounds nice to correlating with our self-care that we were working on.
Yes.
All right. I think that that's a great first goal. So let's move into goal number 2.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. So what would you like that one to be set as?
Parenting, like how to become a better parent. I got a 1-year-old and now I'm about to have another one. When the babies are crying and become stressful and I'm by myself and become overwhelmed, what supports do I have, or what skills can I use? I would like to learn things like that.
Okay. What does parenting look like right now for you?
Well, sometimes, I guess it depends on the day. Sometimes I'm more chaotic than others because it's a 1-year-old and he's running all over the house and into everything. And if no one is at home with me, then it really gets hectic because it's kind of hard to get him to listen and, abide by my rules and things like that. It's real chaotic. And I really don't get a peace of mind until there's nap time and bedtime.
Okay. So is there any schedule in place as far as like what time do does the 1-year-old wake up, and what time? What is his name?
Cody.
Cody. Okay, so what time does Cody wake up, and like what does it look like after he wakes up until he takes a nap, and what does that normally look like for you?
He's up about 9 o'clock. We eat breakfast, mainly some cereal, granola bars, or something like that. And we playing throughout the morning, after getting dressed and sitting around the house watching cartoons, of course. And we have lunch at about noon. We play a little bit more. So he's winding down, and things are getting quiet. It's about 2 o'clock. He's taking a nap,
Okay.
and naps luckily are like 2.5 hours, so that gives me a break. And so he's up, I would say, about 4:30.
Okay.
And so then I'm, trying to wind the house down as well with, dinner, doing some cleaning. And we have dinner at about 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody's in bed again by 8 o'clock.
Okay. Okay. So that sounds like you at least have a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So when it comes to Cody, do you have help at all?
I do. His father comes in every once in a while, but he works so much, so he's not really here. Sometimes I have the help of my mom and my sisters. They'll come by or they'll ask for him to come. And but that's the good support. My mom, my sisters, and his father.
Okay. And what about when you're at work? Where does Cody go?
Daycare.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So those structured hours at home are mainly on the weekends or the times that he's not in school, holidays or such things like that. So him going to school helps to take out a big chunk of my day.
Mm-hmm.
So once I pick him up from school, I take him to the park and, anything to just burn off that more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's nice to have my sisters and my mom. I wish I can get their help more often, though, more consistent.
Yeah. Have you vocalized that with them?
I have, but I haven't, like I've hinted, but never, specifically asked.
Okay. That might be a good place to start for a goal.
Okay, asking help.
Yeah. How does that feel?
I can do that. I never really had a lot of initiative to ask someone for help, and I've always just never felt comfortable doing that. I never really had the confidence. But it's my mom and my sisters, they'll help. I'm sure they will. I just hate, um, infringing in on, the things that they have to do. I just feel like, what they have to do is a priority, not, nothing for me. But I can ask. I will.
Yeah. So we also have to remember that when we ask, that those people do have the right to say no.
Yeah.
So we just hope that they're healthy enough that if they can't help, that they'll say no.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
And how does that feel if they do say no?
It's troublesome because I get a little worried, like, man. But I can do it. If it was someone else, then I would be kind of like crazy. But if it's my mom and my sisters, I know their intention is not to harm me. They really want to help me as much as they can. And so if they can't do it, there's a reason why.
Okay. So yeah, so we just want to make sure that we're not taking advantage of them either. So what do you think would be a good goal for this?
If I can get my sister and my mom both to help me at least once a week. So if my sister took them on one day and my mom took them on the next day, that would be okay. Maybe like a Wednesday and a Saturday,
Okay.
something like that in the middle of the week.
Okay. And how long are we going to see if they can take him for?
3-4 hours would be good because it would allow me some time to be by myself and to do some cleaning or running errands.
Okay. So when do we want to start implying that?
Next week will be good.
Okay. So by next week, try and,
To get
some help. Okay. How are we going to measure this goal of, this one's going to be a little bit harder because how are we going to measure the goal of when you feel like you became a good parent? With the drug use, we can measure the goal that you're done with your drug use. That means it's measurable. how are we going to measure your feeling of being a good parent?
No, that's tough. Maybe, once you contact the Department of Human Services or Children's Services, maybe once they drop the case and find me a befitting parent, maybe at that time, or once I graduate out of a parenting course.
Okay.
Yeah. If I go to a parenting course through them, something like that, and I don't know, like the duration of the class, 6 to 8 weeks, that will possibly determine if there's an improvement.
So I have an opposite question of that. What makes you feel that you're a bad parent?
The druggies.
Okay.
And with that, my tolerance is low. My temperament is very short, actually, my temperament. I tend to yell at the kids and take my frustrations out on them, especially on the 1-year-old.
So what if the measurable part then is if we decrease that amount of time that we're yelling, or the amount of time that we are feeling that we're not tolerating it well? Because I like your idea of it based off of, taking a parenting class. I think that's a great aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But do other people always get to tell us whether we're a great parent or not?
No.
They're not in your home.
Right. It's not up to them.
Mm-hmm. So, I think that you're right on track with that. When the drug use is gone, that's probably going to help, but we have to make it measurable. So what would that look like, being measurable, so that you feel like you're a good parent, not from somebody else telling you it?
Okay, well, let's just say on average, I'm yelling. The max is about 5 times a day. Mm-hmm. I can decrease that to 3 times a day, and slowly, bring those numbers down.
Does that feel okay with you, that we're going to look at it from a perspective of you judging yourself?
Yeah, it makes more sense. I can deal with myself. The problem is when someone else judges me. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah. So does that feel a little bit better, that you will determine when you're being a good parent?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. All right. I like that. So you said something about maybe doing a parenting class.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you're open up to?
Open to that. Anything to make me better. I want what's best for my kids. I really do. And anything I can do to enhance myself, I know it will help them as well.
Okay. Do you know of any parenting classes in the area?
No, I was thinking maybe you could help me with that as well.
Mm-hmm. I would love to help you with that. Yeah, we can find a parenting class. They usually are about, between 6 and 8 weeks. So I know one parenting class in our area that they will come into the home and they will teach you parenting skills. Mm-hmm. And then they also can do what's called respite when they come into the home, mm-hmm. which it usually gives you 3 hours that they will be with your child to make sure your child is safe, and they will interact with them, and they will do learning things, and you'll set goals on how to help it with what the goals you want your Cody's to be doing. So it can be goals around like maybe starting to learn his colors, or, like things like that. And they'll start working towards achieving those goals. That gives you 3 hours of respite. Mm-hmm. So that can also be a good, alternative if your parents and sisters aren't willing to.
Yeah.
And then it's also teaching you the parenting skills.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I know of that one. And then I also know of another one that you would go there and they do parenting skills. It's usually about 1 hour to 2 hours a week for 6 to 8 weeks. So out of those two, does one feel better than the other, or do we want to keep looking for other options?
I like the idea that they come to me, they will be able to observe my setting.
Yeah.
And, give me a break for a few hours and be great.
Okay. Yeah. So then, that one's through the Family Support Center. So I can get you the contact for that and help you get going on setting that up. And, it is really nice because they do base it off of your schedule. So you tell them when your availability is, and they will try and work around that.
I like that.
You know, and so if your husband's home, it gives you time to go on a date. It might
Yeah.
give you time when you can go to your anonymous groups. You know, it really will help with giving you that flexibility as well as helping you learn skills. Okay, so when do we want to try and set up contact with them?
Next week.
Okay, I like that. So by the end of the next week, which is the 7th, we will have made contact with the Family Support Center.
Exactly.
All right, I like that. So what other things can we put in this goal to help us achieve it?
Oh boy, more parenting classes. Maybe play dates. Maybe I can be around other moms and get a break from them, or my kids play with them, and I can get some support from the parents, the moms themselves.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit of role modeling will happen during that.
Okay. I like that.
Do you know of any play date groups, or do any of your friends have kids, or anything like that?
At the daycare, there's one or two moms that's real fond of Cody and I, and I'm sure they'll be willing to, meet me apart.
Okay.
With the kids.
All right. I like that idea, and it also gives you that interaction to help with maybe some of that loneliness that you've been experiencing. So when do we want to implement this?
Give me 2 weeks for this.
Okay.
So like 14.
Okay. And how are we going to go about trying to implement it?
I will take the initiative to ask, the mom, Sarah, to see if she can, she's busy or what day is she free. Can our kids meet up for a play date one day during the week?
Okay, so we're going to shoot for 1 day a week.
1 day a week.
Okay, I like that. And Sarah might also have other friends that want to join in with you that you can make more connection with.
Yes.
Okay, so we said we're going to measure this by decreasing the amount of time we're yelling from 5 to no more than 3 times a day.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So when do we want to say that we're going to hopefully achieve that by? Remember we want it to be obtainable. So what feels obtainable?
Maybe within a month.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's doable within a month where the parenting classes are 6 to 8 weeks?
Okay, I see what you're saying. Let's go for 2 months then. Therefore, by the end of the 8-week session, I will be able to measure how well I'm doing.
I like that, because they're going to teach you some skills. And something that I tell everybody is you can only be as skillful as the skills you have today. Mm-hmm. So the more you learn those skills, the easier it'll be to apply them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I like that. So we'll say by the end of July. So by July 30th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do we want to start achieving? So we've got that we're going to do the parenting classes. We're going to do play dates.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you can think of that could help us start to decrease this?
No, without being overloaded. I think those two are a good start.
Okay, I agree. I do think those are both good starts, and I think that gives you some good outside resources in the community to, start implementing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, we'll just play by ear what happens with DCFS, and I will be here for you to help you through whatever that looks like. And I think that we have some good goals in place towards working to clean, to getting you within remission. We have to remember too that there might be slip ups, and we will visit those and we will look at them and keep working towards helping you get clean.
Yes. Okay.
Working towards those goals. So what is your takeaway from today?
That there is help, that there is hope, that I have a future, and it's bright.
Yeah, I love that. I think that you're very right. Look at just how far you've come in the last week. Last week you were at, what was it, 3 times a day? No, 4 times a day. between 3 and 4, right?
Yes.
You know, and just from us talking and you getting those feelings out and you being able to see where you are, you've been able to decrease that in half without
Yeah.
even us putting any steps in place.
Right.
And now we've made this to where you can measure it and see the growth, which always
Mm-hmm.
helps us want to move towards our goals.
Right.
Yeah, so I love that. I think that's a great takeaway. I'm not going to leave you with homework today because I feel like we already assigned enough, you know, between starting to get these balls rolling to help us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that any of these are going to help a lot and you're going to start seeing a difference. So I will get you some numbers for the Family Support Center, and I will look into my contacts to find some good substance abuse anonymous groups in your area,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully get you a few so that way you have some choices.
Okay.
So do all of these goals sound good and obtainable to you and you feel good about them, or anything that we need to change or anything?
No, they sound doable.
Okay. Well, we'll visit again in a week and see how things are. And if between now and then you think of something else we need to add to a goal or change in a goal, you know, you can always message me, or in our next session, just have it ready.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for coming in today.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So now the session's over. Let's do some feedback.
Okay, I'll start. I think your whole presentation literally felt like a counselor. I felt like a client in need, and I felt like you were the right resource for me. Like, hands down, absolutely. You have it. I love the part when you were asking about rewards, because all other sessions that I've observed, no one thought about rewards. You know, everything was a goal, but nothing about a reward for yourself. And I was like, darn it, that's a light bulb. It was like perfect. It was magical. I like that rewards part. I like that you took your time and, literally step by step with these goals, and you made it seem, easy, obtainable for me. And you were able to break it down that I could, understand which direction I was going. It was just really, really good. I didn't even see like no errors like you did, or anything that you said wrong that made me feel uncomfortable, or you could have did this or said that better. There was no times where I felt uncomfortable. You have it together.
Okay. Any skills that you felt that I did good at or that I could have worked better on?
Well, you did really good with like reflection of meaning. And you were asking me, what is it that I want in a goal? What is it that I wanted? What is it that ultimately, what I want to see out of therapy? You I don't know, you just empathized well with me. You made me feel like you understood. Although you may have never, touched any substances or any drugs, especially the part where you had to contact the Department of Human Services, or DCFS. I thought that was nice that you wanted to do it along with me, because some people would have just made the call and left me out there to the wolves. But the fact that you wanted to be there with me while I was making the call, and any steps or necessary things that I needed to do for DCS was really empathizing, made me feel like he was relating to me. Reflection of meaning, you did all of that. Every time I said something, you rephrased it and you paraphrased it, and it was like, okay, that wasn't her words. Yes, that is exactly what I meant. So yes, you did a good job. You did a good job.
Well, thanks. It was a good session. I feel like I was really worried when we started the session because I knew that I had to talk to you about reporting, and so I wasn't sure how that was going to go. And so I'm glad that it went good for you and you did feel good about it.
And I actually wanted to respond like an actual client, and I almost wanted to cry, like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Some clients become hysterical because of that. But no, that was a learning lesson for us both, in how to handle a situation like that.
Yeah. So, all right, I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.